Hi, my name's Susan, and I'm an active member of the local therapy group at Social Anxiety Institute in Phoenix, Arizona. I wanted to talk about some of the ways in which cognitive behavioral therapy has helped me overcome social anxiety. I have, since starting the therapy around November of last year, already seen and felt a huge difference in the way I view the world, my feelings and thoughts, and even my personal relationships. I wanted to say a few words to anyone struggling with social anxiety, but maybe especially to anyone who's lived with this as long as I have. It really is never too late to change, and I would rather in middle age go into the second half of my life a little gentler, easier, and without all of the unnecessary angst and emotional hardship that I've lived with almost since I can remember. I would have to say that the key thing for me with the cognitive aspect of the therapy has been the concept of rationality. I had a false belief system about the world, in that I looked at most people as being critical and judgmental of me, with no real true basis for that belief. Those were old, ingrained thoughts based on many things that had happened to me through childhood and even into my teens that affected how I saw the world. I added pressure on myself every time I went out the door to look appropriate or act the way my false belief system thought others wanted me to behave. This was instilled in me from parents and relatives, and as a child, carried over into believing this must be true, and everyone else in the world must think this too. Also, my parents moved a lot, and every year until the 7th grade, I was the new girl in school. Having joined the social anxiety therapy group, I now have tools to help me in my daily interactions in life. The cognitive part of social anxiety therapy has given my mind the concepts and knowledge I need to start building new, more rational belief systems about the world and what is really occurring versus what I was imagining was occurring. The group behavioral therapy gives me the practice to put some of those beliefs to the test and to work out things with extremely supportive and helpful people. I feel very lucky being able to listen and talk to Dr. Richards and others who have gone and are going through the curse of social anxiety. I have finally realized that I'm not alone and that I have a very treatable condition and can practice these things and this new knowledge in an atmosphere of emotional safety. One of the first things Dr. Richards teaches us concerns automatic negative thoughts, or ANTs. This acronym makes it easy to picture in your mind, and with some practice, be able to visualize and catch these ANTs and stop the cycle of negative thoughts. They've been conditioned into our brains over the years, and they are not rational. We learn to gently train our minds to become aware that they are happening, catch them, and ignore them by moving into another activity or distraction. Another thing that has been very important and helpful to me is called the look around technique. We look around when we get the feeling that someone is staring at us or judging us to find out if this is really true. It usually is not, and even if or when someone is looking, we learn that it is impossible for us to know what they are thinking and to not automatically assume the worst. Using looking around, I've done experiments in group to test this out, and it's hard to believe. On a trip to the mall, some of us did purposely silly activities, such as skipping through the mall, riding backwards on the escalator, shouting out to a group member, and singing happy birthday. Sometimes a few people glance over, but that's about it. All the time I spent walking around in a shell, being self-conscious, and people weren't even paying attention anyway. People are just caught up in their own lives. Now, in one respect, I do believe that being female, it is true that we are going to get looked at more, at least by males, and often in a very obvious way. Even when other women are looking, they may just be interested in your outfit or your hairstyle or anything else. The point is that I've learned that this is just the nature of people. People look at other people, and this is just a fact of life. It is neutral. We cannot stop the looking when it does happen, but we can change our own thoughts about it when it occurs. For example, now I can walk my dog down the street without thinking that everyone is staring critically at me out of their windows. I now know that rationally it would be stranger to think that they would be. I now know how to deal with old ingrained feelings such as these. Once in a while, I'll still have little setbacks, especially if I'm already stressed about something else. But now I have the tools to realize what's happening, like catching those ants, using calming techniques, and gently thinking rationally about what is really happening. I realize I've wasted a lot of time and energy having these irrational negative thoughts and feelings. I'd also like to talk about how social anxiety can carry over into having needless, damaging effects on relationships. When you and family members do not know about this disorder, it can create a lot of stress. Recovering from social anxiety disorder has really helped my husband and myself as a couple. In the past, when my anxiety would be set off, in public usually, I would clam up or try to become as small as possible to avoid someone looking at me. My husband would take this personally, assuming it was something that he had done. Learning about this disorder has turned his frustration into support. We're both happier knowing there was a reason for my behavior, and he loves being able to help and be there for me now that he understands. In conclusion, I hope listening to this will help some people. Maybe by helping to give themselves a little push like I did and get the right help instead of just sitting around worrying about it, suffering with it, or complaining about it. Dr. Richard's CBT audio therapy series for social anxiety is effective and it works with any age. Thanks for listening.